Have you ever gotten a small cut and just slapped a bandage on it, not giving it a second thought? Or taken a course of pills for a nasty infection and felt better in a few days? It's easy to take these things for granted, but just a century ago, the world was a vastly different and much more dangerous place. A simple scratch from a rose thorn could lead to a fatal infection. Surgeries were a desperate gamble, with post-operative infections claiming countless lives. Diseases like pneumonia, syphilis, and scarlet fever were often death sentences. The world was crying out for a miracle, and it arrived not with a thunderous announcement, but in the quiet of a messy laboratory, thanks to a moment of sheer, accidental genius. This is the story of penicillin, the wonder drug that changed everything, and the man behind the discovery, Alexander Fleming. Our story begins in London in September 1928. Fleming, a Scottish bacteriologist, was known for two things: his brilliant research and his notoriously untidy lab. He had just returned from a 2-week holiday with his family. Before he left, he had been studying Staphylococcus, a common type of bacteria responsible for everything from sore throats to deadly abscesses. He had a stack of petri dishes smeared with these bacteria piled up on his workbench. Upon his return, Fleming began the tedious task of cleaning up his cluttered lab. He started sorting through the petri dishes, deciding which to keep and which to discard. As he picked up one dish, something caught his eye. It was contaminated. A fuzzy, blue-green mold, similar to what you might find on old bread, had grown on it. This was a common annoyance for bacteriologists. Normally, a scientist would just sigh, mutter something about contamination, and toss the dish out. But Fleming paused. He noticed something truly peculiar. All around the patch of mold, the Staphylococcus bacteria had vanished. It was as if there was an invisible barrier, a moat, where the bacteria simply couldn't grow. The mold was clearly producing something that was killing the bacteria. Fleming famously said, "That's funny." It wasn't a eureka moment in the classic sense. It was a moment of quiet curiosity. Instead of discarding the contaminated dish, he decided to investigate this strange phenomenon. He carefully cultivated the mold, which was later identified as a rare strain of Penicillin notatum. He extracted the mold juice, as he called it, and began testing it. He found that this substance was incredibly powerful. It could kill a wide range of harmful bacteria, including those that cause pneumonia, meningitis, and diphtheria. And here was the truly revolutionary part. While it was lethal to bacteria, it appeared to be completely harmless to human cells. He named this substance penicillin. Fleming published his findings in 1929, but believe it or not, the scientific community largely ignored him. His paper didn't cause a stir. Why? Well, Fleming was a brilliant bacteriologist, but he wasn't a chemist. He struggled to isolate and produce a stable, pure form of penicillin in large enough quantities to be used as a medicine. For over a decade, his groundbreaking discovery remained little more than a laboratory curiosity, a fascinating footnote in a scientific journal. Penicillin was difficult to grow, hard to extract, and unstable. The miracle cure was tantalizingly close, yet impossibly far away. The story could have ended there, with penicillin being a forgotten what-if. But then, World War II broke out. The war created an urgent, desperate need for a way to treat infected wounds, which were killing more soldiers than enemy fire. The search for new antibacterial agents became a top priority for the Allied forces. This is where the other brilliant scientists enter our story: Howard Florey and Ernst Boris Chain, a team of researchers at Oxford University. In the late 1930s, they stumbled upon Fleming's old paper. Intrigued, they decided to pick up where Fleming had left off. They were a perfect team. Florey was a determined pathologist and leader, while Chain was a gifted biochemist who figured out how to purify penicillin. Together with their team, they faced immense challenges. They needed huge amounts of the mold, so they turned their lab into a makeshift penicillin factory using bedpans, milk churns, and any container they could find to grow the penicillium mold. The process was slow and painstaking. It took thousands of liters of moldy liquid just to produce enough penicillin to treat a single person. Their first human trial came in 1941. The patient was a policeman named Albert Alexander, who was dying from a severe infection that had spread from a scratch on his face. He had abscesses all over his body and had even lost an eye. With nothing left to lose, doctors gave him an injection of the precious, purified penicillin. The results were astounding. Within 24 hours, his fever dropped and he began to recover. The drug was working, but their joy was short-lived. They had so little penicillin that after 5 days of treatment, they ran out. They even tried to recover the penicillin from the patient's urine to reuse it, but it wasn't enough. Tragically, Albert Alexander's infection returned and he passed away. While this first case ended in heartbreak, it proved one crucial thing: penicillin worked in humans. The challenge was now production. Florey and Chain realized they couldn't make enough in Britain, which was under constant threat of bombing. So in the summer of 1941, Florey traveled to the United States with a small sample of the mold, smuggling it in his coat pocket to avoid suspicion. He presented his case to American scientists and pharmaceutical companies. With the U.S. now fully engaged in the war, the government poured massive resources into what became known as the Penicillin Project. American scientists scoured the globe for more potent strains of the Penicillium mold. One of the most productive strains was famously found on a moldy cantaloupe melon in a market in Peoria, Illinois. Through new fermentation techniques and industrial-scale production, companies like Pfizer went from making teaspoon amounts to producing it by the ton. By 1944, there was enough penicillin to treat every wounded soldier on D-Day. The impact was immediate and profound. The death rate from bacterial pneumonia in soldiers plummeted from 18% to less than 1%. It saved countless lives on the battlefield and earned the nickname the Wonder Drug. After the war, penicillin became available to the public and it triggered a medical revolution. It was the birth of the antibiotic age. Surgeries became safer, childbirth became less risky, and diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries were suddenly treatable. Fleming, Florey, and Chain were jointly awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 1945 for their monumental work. The discovery of penicillin paved the way for the development of many other antibiotics, creating the foundation of modern medicine as we know it. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the greatest leaps forward in human history don't come from a grand design, but from a little bit of mess, a keen eye, and the curiosity to say, "That's funny." It's a story of persistence, collaboration, and a lucky accident that gave humanity one of its most powerful tools against disease. So the next time you get an infection and your doctor prescribes an antibiotic, take a moment to remember Alexander Fleming and his messy lab. Remember the team at Oxford who refused to give up, and the global effort that turned a laboratory curiosity into a life-saving miracle. It's a legacy that continues to save millions of lives every single day. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the history of science and medicine. See you in the next video.